Thank you for tuning in with your host, Tom Atwater. And this is the story of a man named Noah Gala. 17-year-old Noah Gala liked to make TikTok videos of himself tearing along in his BMW M5, a high-powered competition model that could go 190 miles an hour. At 11:30 p.m. on January 27, 2022, Gile got the M5 up to 151 miles per hour on State Road 7, west of Delray Beach, according to Palm Beach Post staff writer Hannah Phillips, who covered Gale's court case. That's where he slammed into a Nissan Rogue SUV carrying 6 people who had just left Perot Family Farms. There was no evidence he braked or steered to avoid the devastating impact that killed all 6 farm workers. For that, Gale faced a minimum sentence of 55 years. Last week, Palm Beach County Circuit Court Judge Sherry Collins accepted a plea deal engineered by the state attorney's office in Gale's defense, giving him 12 years. If you wondered what taking a life costs, there it is. 2 years, each sure. That's a cynical way of looking at it. But a lot about this case brings out the cynical in us. That a parent lets their kid have a car like that to begin with. That a high-priced lawyer's son gets a deal more lenient than others might get who took so many lives. That the defense's factual basis for downward departure from sentencing norms asserts that health conditions contributed to the 151-mile-per-hour accident, such as Gale's significant ADHD, including poor impulse control, poor attention, difficulty staying focused, distractibility, and a blood pressure condition that makes him faint. Just who you want speeding on the roads with you, let alone in a $100,000 sports car. Also damaging the sentence's credibility, a state attorney who races a lenient deal across the finish line on his last day on the job because it's somehow important to get to the checkered flag before the incoming state attorney takes office, and possibly reconsiders the case. It's easy to second-guess, sure, but even with a 12-year sentence, 800 hours of public service, and a 3-year loss of his driver's license after he gets out, hopefully with a health check required, it's hard to say whether justice was done here. Ask yourself, what number of years would you consider appropriate for Gale? How different would the message be that the sentence sends out? If he served 55 years instead of 12, is this defendant likely to commit another violent act if released after 12? How credible or relevant is the medical excuse his defense proffered? How heavily should victims' relatives' views be considered? There are no easy answers, and there's no solace for survivors of the Nissan's driver, Merlane Joltsius, 45 of West Palm Beach, and her passengers, Michelle Louis Saint, 77 of Lake Worth Beach, Marie-Michelle Louis, 60 of Wellington, Remzi Michelle, 53 of Palm Springs, Philaine Dieu, 46 of Lake Worth Beach, and Vanice Persina, 29 of West Palm Beach. The judge presumably considered what was presented to her, including Gale's attorney's testimony, that the now 20-year-old is full of remorse, and that he created a nonprofit that raised more than $100,000 for the victims' families. And yet, I like to thank you all for tuning in. We like to do these stories to spread awareness. We are not here to judge anyone. I would like to know what you all think about this story. Please leave a comment below, and thanks again for tuning in. Stay tuned for more stories of true crime with Tom Atwater.